Was the night before Coyote season when all through the rink, not a Petey was sighing after drinking his wink.
Wow.
Craig's in New York, Leah's excitement unruly as we get ready to watch Clayton Keller and Cooley. The diehards were ready to chime in the chat. Everyone's hoping the Yotes don't fall flat. In GMBA and Bear we trust, here's to hoping the season isn't a bust.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Let's go.
Thank you all so much for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. We'll see everybody tomorrow at the watch along.
To the PHNX Coyotes podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah here with Craig, Petey, and Jacob behind the Mac. We got a live studio audience. Flex learning hockey. Flex is ready for the season. It's the night before Coyote season. How's everybody feeling?
I'm ready. I am so ready to get this started. Mostly because I can't stand watching preseason hockey. I'm
longest
so sick
preseason
of the
ever.
Yeah, felt like it. Yeah,
I'm excited because I just want to see where this team fits. I mean, we know over the last 2 seasons this team was supposed to be last. Mm-hmm. They tried to get last. They're trying to get draft picks, and they know they sucked. This year, the expectations are different. The bar is set differently, and I think we just need to see them on the ice. And we're going to see them against 3 really good teams right off the bat in the teams around the New York area, and then we're going to see where this team really falls. And that's what I'm excited about, to see where this team fits.
Yeah, me too. We're going to dive into all of that. We're going to talk about expectations for the core, expectations for Cooley, expectations for the team in general, the new additions, our line predictions, the goaltending plan, best and worst case scenarios for the team, and we'll round it all out by talking about how you can watch the Coyotes, which, spoiler alert, there's not much more we know than you do. But before we dive into that, let's start with the core of this team. Keller, Schmaltz, Hayton, Kraus, and I think you could argue that all 4 of those guys last season really took a step forward.
Mm-hmm.
Lawson Kraus came on our show before last season and said, I have these high goals for myself, and he, pretty much got close or achieved them. Clayton Keller, obviously, tying the point record with Keith Tkachuk with 86 points. Can he break that this year? Can Barrett Hayton keep his second half performance the whole season, not just one half of the season? And can Nick Schmaltz stay healthy and, play up to his expectations? So what are your expectations for the core forwards of this team? Start with that.
Expectations, I don't know. I have so many questions, and that's the story that I wrote yesterday.
Yes.
10 questions leading off the season, and a lot of those
10
guys.
10 burning questions.
Yes, 10 burning questions. Well, that was to get my power word in for SEO. Had to get that SEO score up. A few of the guys that you mentioned, like Clayton Keller, can he actually eclipse 86 points? Can he be a 90-point guy if he becomes that? Obviously, it helps the team. He also puts himself in just rarefied air with the people that we're talking about in the history of this franchise, right up there with Keith Tkachuk, Jeremy Roenick, of course, Shane Doan, the very best that this franchise has ever seen. But there's so many pieces around that matter. Can Hayton, like you said, can he take another step forward? Can Nick Schmaltz play a full season? Can he stay healthy? There's so many questions around this team, and this is the biggest reason, I think, and Petey, you just alluded to this, why people just have such a wide variance in where they think this team's going to finish. Bill Armstrong said it himself when I talked to him the other day, when talking about these predictions that have them in the playoffs or have them as low as like 70 points. That's because we have so many unknowns.
Yeah, I think this is the group we talked about, this core group of Coyotes that have been here for a long time. This is what's going to make or break this season. You talk about Clayton Keller, who was 1 point away from setting the all-time franchise record a season ago. He needs to do that consistently. If not for the broken leg 2 years ago, he's a 30-goal scorer 2 consecutive years, looking for a third. I think he can do it, but it's going to depend on his line mates. The fear I have is Schmaltz has not shown his durability in his entire career. Like the last 2 seasons he's missed 20 games for injuries the last 2 years. And I didn't get the sense coming into training camp that he's put on any weight, any strength, or that's going to change at all. So I'm concerned about that. The positive side of that is his centerman, Barrett Hayton. I believe in this kid. Like, he's finally becoming the player they drafted him to be at 5, gets to the net incredibly well. Like, his ability to get to the blue paint and cause trouble in front of the goaltender is going to allow Keller to get more points. So I feel that part is going to be okay as long as Schmaltz stays healthy. As far as Krause is concerned, no matter who you threw Krause with last year, he put up points. He's a guy that said to us 2 weeks ago, right here, he said, I'm going to score 30. I like a guy that's going to come out and say, I'm going to score 30. I think it's a lofty goal for him, but if those guys can all build on last year, this team is going to be better.
With Barrett Hayton in particular, I love the kid's attitude, right? He's got the right attitude, the right approach, the right work ethic. All of that stuff is in place. We'll see with Nick Schmaltz. As far as his off-season training program, Bill told me that they were focused on that, but it's not necessarily, weights, trying to get him bigger. He's always been a slider guy, but it was more like resistance training, trying to build strength that way, but flexibility to keep him healthy because he's only played 63 games each of the last 2 seasons. What does Nick Schmaltz's point total look like if he plays 80 games?
We've talked about him a lot. Nick Schmaltz, to me, is one of those guys, when he is at his best, he is an elite player. And I'm not putting him up there with McDavid and Draisaitl and some of those players, but he is high-end skill, speed, strength, ability to score. It's just his ability to do that day in, day out, shift in, shift out. He's like this. He's an up-and-down roller coaster player. If he can ever find that consistency, he's a guy that could compete with the points lead with Keller, but he just doesn't seem to do it day after day after day. And one of these days, I'm just waiting for him to be mad and just go, F you, Petey, I'm going to do it. Like, I am going to be that consistent guy. And I just don't know if he's got that little edge, because I'm not the only one saying this. Like, this has been the knock on his career since he started playing. And I just want him to go, I'm going to show you. And I haven't seen that part of his game where he wants to get over the hump and raise that bar. So if he can, wow, it could be an exceptional season for him and his line mates.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's exciting about these guys is the potential is there because we've seen it. We've seen it in flashes. And if, the way Barrett Hayton stepped up his game in the second half of the season and how the Schmaltz, Keller, Hayton line was clicking, I mean, that's partly the reason why Keller was getting all of those points is because that line was on fire. If that continues and rolls over into the season and everybody stays healthy, there's a huge potential here for all of those things to come true, for Keller to beat the point record, for Schmaltz. I mean, there's a lot of variables for him to play a healthy season, but for Barrett Hayton to sustain that level. And then for Lawson Krause, you put him back. Nick Bukestad's back. He left at the deadline. Bukestad, Michelli, and Krause was really a staple line last season, and they get to be reunited. And we saw them clicking even in the preseason. So I don't know. There's a lot of potential. It's just about whether or not they execute. And like you mentioned, that whole disparity of the point projections, I think a lot of it depends on that core group of players.
Sure, but then you could also have 3 scoring lines this season, which if Logan Cooley can produce between, and we're going to get to Cooley in a minute, I know, between Jason Zucker and right now Alex Kerfoot, if you have 3 legitimate scoring lines, well, it takes some of the pressure off that Barrett Hayton, Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz line. Yeah. And they might have more opportunities to produce.
And we're going to talk more about how we see these lines juggling out and what that means. Yeah. But lastly, on Hayton, he finished last year with 19 goals. I have him 20 plus this year. I think he hits the 20 goal mark this year. I'm not sure Keller's going to get there. I don't know if Keller breaks the record this year. I think he takes a step backwards point-wise, but I think it's because they're going to spread out more of the offense among more of the players. He's going to have a really good season. I just don't think he's going to be in that rarefied air with, franchise record numbers.
All right. Well, we're going to talk again more about the defensive depth when we get to our lines, but I do want to bring up JJ Moser. This is something Craig and I were talking about the other day as far as Bill Armstrong and re-signing guys. So I'll let you take this one, but JJ Moser, he's in the last year of
he'll be an RFA after this year, and I corrected this in my story because initially I thought he didn't have arbitration rights, but he will after 10 more games, so which we presume JJ Moser is going to play at this point. Bill's got an interesting history with guys going into the final year of their season. There have been guys that he has extended, like Karel Vejmelka. I mentioned a bunch of them in the story, but then there are guys that he lets go to the summer. So a lot of it depends on the negotiation or the situation with the team. Obviously, there are a lot of variables at play here. But with JJ Moser in particular, if I'm going to bet on any one of these guys that are going to be RFAs. You're talking about Yusuf Alamaki, Barrett Hayton, who, by the way, is another guy that you should probably really look at in Sean Dursey. I think J.J. Moser's the guy of all these four guys. If you're going to lock someone up early, you've seen enough from J.J. Moser. You have the body of work to know that this kid is a part of your core. He's established it really ever since he stepped into the lineup. When he got called up from Tucson very early, he surprised them right then and there. I remember walking down while they were still playing at Gila River Arena, and Bill Armstrong looked at me and said, J.J. Moser, wow. Even back then, like in one of his first few games, and he hasn't stopped for the most part. He's been a pretty consistent player for them. I could see them locking him up if they look to lock anyone up early.
Yeah, of the four guys you mentioned that are restricted free agents end of the year, he's the guy I'd get done first. And we did a deep dive on him earlier this summer, and I compared him to Teppo Numminen, which is pretty high praise.
Is that good?
And J.J. Moser has no idea who Teppo Numminen is, which is kind of, who? Well, and Flex, by the way, that's the guy in the Ring of Honor. So he should know that. But J.J. Moser, to me, he's one of the guys that unsung hero because he defends so well and he can keep up with the speed that this league presents itself with. Like you're talking about McKinnon, McDavid, and now Bedard and all these guys that have speed. If you want to be able to defend speed, you need defensemen that can skate. J.J. Moser can skate. He's got a good stick. He's strong enough. He's not a big physical defenseman that's going to protect the front of the net, but he's strong enough they can come out of the corner with the puck. If you're going to compete in the Central Division with Robertson and those kind of players, you need to have J.J. Moser locked up. The future of this team, I don't want to say depends on J.J. Moser, but of the four players, and it's Valimaki, Hayton, him, and Dursey, this is the one I get done first. I think he's the guy that could play for this organization for another decade. The way he plays, he's smart enough that he's not putting himself in a situation to get hurt, but he's extremely valuable on the back end in defending and penalty killing. I would get this thing done before it gets to December.
We're talking about a guy that, an older player that they drafted out of Europe that now is trending toward being a top pair defenseman.
It's crazy.
It's an unbelievable story. Yeah,
it's an unbelievable story. 30.
Yeah.
He's 23, this kid. His ceiling is extremely high. Yeah. He will be one of those guys, though, that he's not going to end up on the score sheet all the time. And I don't think he's going to be noticed. He's not going to be the Norris Trophy candidate because he's not going to put up 100 points. But he's the guy, the unsung hero. You start like a Jacob Slavin, where you start when guys can defend extremely well. The guys are on the Jonas Brodin, guys that can defend extremely well. Guys around the league know who those guys are. You might not see them on the score sheet, but you notice them on the ice. So I think that's what J.J. Moser is, and I think they need to get him locked up soon because you don't want this to linger into the offseason.
Especially with arbitration, right?
Yep.
Like we've seen that.
Yeah, that could be
close
bad
to
for
getting
a player.
messy.
Yep, it can get messy for a player.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move on to talk about Logan Cooley, who we've talked about plenty this summer, but we just can't seem to talk about him enough because, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I haven't been this excited about a Coyotes player or / prospect maybe ever. It was the preseason, but he had a phenomenal preseason, showed what he has. We'll see how he performs when the regular season begins. Maybe he'll score a goal in his first game. We'll see. Maybe not just a secondary assist. Oops, sorry.
Do you think he'll be on ESPN a lot?
Oh, can you say that? Can you say that? Secondary assist?
But I know we're all really excited about Logan Cooley. And you wrote about this, Craig, because Logan Cooley literally said to you, like, I want to win the Calder. I want to make an impact on this team. And Coach Andre Tourigny said, our job this season is to manage his expectations.
Right. Andre said, I have zero expectations for him. My job is to manage his expectations. Yes. But yeah, good luck with that.
The three of us don't have zero expectations. We have expectations, but what are the realistic expectations for Logan Cooley this season?
I'm curious what Coach Petey would say on this one.
This is interesting to me because when I watch Connor Bedard, and I've watched him closely because we all have to watch him closely because he's on national TV every day.
On which network?
All of them, by the way. NHL Network, TNT, and ESPN, all in the first week. So here's the deal. Connor Bedard, to me, may be a fantastic hockey player in the future. He's 18 years old, and he looks every day of 18. Logan Cooley has that extra year. He's got an extra year of maturity. He played in college where the focus is on nutrition and exercise and working out and getting stronger.
Playing against older players.
He was in a Big Ten facility with the University of Minnesota, working in their football program gym, getting
good
bigger.
facilities in Minnesota.
Phenomenal facilities in the Big Ten. So I think he's physically more mature than a Connor Bedard. So let's put it to start. What he did during preseason, his ability to go, wow, like this kid is special. I will say this, and I won't hold this person to this. I talked to someone in the organization last week, and they said, and this is someone that has been around the organization since Winnipeg, this is the best player this franchise has ever had. And he prefaced it by saying he hasn't played a game yet, but the way he practices, the way he handles himself off the ice, on the ice, he said it's second to none. So that's very high praise. And so my expectations of this kid are extremely high. But what I like that the franchise did differently than what you're seeing with Connor Bedard is Logan Cooley is the number 2 center. He didn't play on the power play in training camp at all.
Yep.
Connor Bedard's expectations are in Chicago are through the roof. Like the expectations on Bedard on that franchise, first guy over the boards on the power play, first line center, been handed everything. Granted, he's the first overall pick. Cooley's got to earn it. Cooley, one, is going to protect him. So, hey, your second line, you're not getting all these minutes. That's Keller's going to get these minutes. So I think that bodes well for him to be able to go, oh, okay, it's not all on me. It's not the pressure that I have that the Bedard's going to have. So I think that's going to allow him to develop more quickly. I think he's going to have an unbelievable season. And this team quietly is going to have a guy that for the first time that the league
has to take notice of.
Yes. And Keller's an all-star. He started the ball rolling. Cooley is going to be the first guy in this franchise in a very long time that's going to get people around North America going, oh my God, did you see what Cooley did this week?
Yeah. And he did it in his very first preseason game on the global stage, by the way, in Australia.
Literally.
Just maybe the best goal we see all season.
I hope he gets through game 1 against the New Jersey Devils, getting on the score sheet like Bedard did, because the comparisons are going to start early. Yeah. I would like to see him be more dynamic in that game. He is going to have more physical edge than what you see from Bedard. Cooley plays with an edge. He
does.
Yeah.
He's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's got a little grit to him.
We saw that in the national championship game.
For sure, which ended up maybe costing his team the game while he sat in the penalty box. But I think all of those things I just want him to have some success, and I don't want him to have a major defensive breakdown like he had in preseason where he got the turnover that caused a goal. I just want him to get through that game on the positive side of the plus minus. Just don't do anything really bad and get through it healthy.
Do you like the New Jersey matchup for him, though? I mean, it's a game that's kind of based on speed and skill. Yeah.
This is a giddy up game.
Yeah.
Like this is hey, we're going to a horse race on Friday.
It's also interesting because in that game you have like a young Jack Hughes, which to me parallel, like if I'm just thinking parallels, you got Hughes, you got Keller, I know in different roles. And then you got Cooley and you have Luke Hughes, who is another guy in the Calder conversation early. So I just think it's interesting as far as storylines and youth. And I think New Jersey is what Arizona hopes to be in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think they're 2 years behind Jersey.
Story last year.
Yeah.
I think they're 2 years behind Jersey. And it's funny you talk about that Luke Hughes in the Calder conversation. I think right now nationally, you're getting Devin Levi, Bedard, and Luke Hughes. And I think they're starting to be aware of Cooley. But I think by Christmas time, people are going to go, oh my goodness, this Cooley kid. And I think that's the direction this team wants to be. They want to be a perennial playoff team, and they're going to need guys like that to carry them there. It's unfortunate the ping pong balls didn't fall differently, because if we were talking Bedard Cooley,
or even Fantilli Cooley, right?
Yeah.
Fantilli Cooley,
then you're
I keep forgetting Fantilli because he's in Columbus.
You're set at the center.
We just forget about Columbus. Sorry, Columbus.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Cooley? I think Petey kind of broke it down well.
I think he did. Yeah.
So let's move to predictions for Cooley, goals, assists, points.
Oh boy,
rookie year.
You know I love this stuff.
I know you do.
Oy.
What's the rookie point record for the Coyotes?
Well, for the franchise, it's not fair because I have Teemu Solani with the rookie record 76.
For the Coyotes.
It's not fair. Coyotes is Keller.
Yeah.
And I don't recall what it was, 22
points.
22 goals?
Oh, you're talking goals? Yeah, it's Clayton Keller's rookie season, but yeah.
I
don't know. Does he have the rookie goal scoring record too? I'm trying to remember.
Does Cooley?
It's 65 points.
Yep.
And that's Keller.
23 goals, 42 assists.
Yeah.
Does he get 20 goals this season?
Yes. He gets 20 goals this season. How many assists does he have?
Yes.
Yes. I think Logan Cooley gets 20 goals in his rookie season. Yes.
I'll say 21 goals.
21 goals. How many assists does he get? That's
well, he's a kid can distribute the puck extremely well. He's got a lot of that Michelli in him, where he can make plays that you hope he wouldn't make, but they always end up to work out. The other thing he's going to do, if he stays with Kerfoot and Zucker for a while, those two experienced players getting to the blue paint are going to score.
Mm-hmm.
God, I know. Can he get 50?
50 points or 50 assists?
50 assists. Can he get 70 points?
You're talking 70 points.
I don't
get
think
70
so.
points as
I
a
don't
rookie.
think so. I think eventually. I don't think this year.
But Clayton Keller did it. Clayton Keller did it.
Clayton Keller did it on a team that was not quite as poised to put up the offense that this team is.
Yeah.
Keller came in at a time when this team wasn't scoring and became the guy quickly. Cooley, we're in his development, Cooley head-to-head with where Keller stepped in, Cooley is better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so let's tease it.
Let's do it.
I'll go 68 points, breaks the franchise rookie record.
I'm gonna say 70 points.
There you go.
I'm gonna do it.
I'm going to say 66 just because of the Pittsburgh and Mario Lemieux
66. I like it.
connection.
But we're all saying that with the expectations now are extremely high
Yeah.
for this kid here.
Yeah.
We're all saying he's going to set a record for a franchise rookie.
Why not?
You know what's
Scoring.
great though? They don't care what we think.
No, they don't.
No.
Yeah.
I know
Although
he's laying awake playing this over and over.
when we get to the lines, they might care what we think.
That's
Because
true.
we said the lines back in July and
And Andre laughed at us.
he laughed. The
Who's
coach
laughing
laughed.
now? Who's laughing now?
Turns out opening night looks a lot like we predicted.
Oh boy. Let us know in the chat how many goals, assists, and points you think Logan Cooley is going to get this season. And let's now talk about our expectations for the team as a whole as far as point projections. We previewed the Central Division yesterday. We all had the Coyotes slotting kind of middle of the Central Division. What are your realistic expectations for the team? And we'll talk a little bit later about the best and worst case scenarios for the season. But just like when you really sit and think, and we'll talk also about some projections around North America and our own projections. But what's your gut telling you realistically?
I have said from the start that I thought 80 points would be a good goal for this group. I don't know if it's realistic yet because, again, there's so many unknowns. We don't know how all these pieces are going to mesh. We don't know what the core is going to do, if they're going to take another step. We don't know what Logan Cooley is going to do. But I think 80 points is a good goal for them. I believe a lot in this coaching staff to drive this team maybe to greater heights than you might think they can achieve. So I'm going to stick right around that area. I do not think that this is a playoff team. Look, they had 70 points last season. The cutoff was 95. That's a massive jump.
Yeah.
And I know it's been done before, but when you look at the teams that did it and look at their situations, I'm not sure the Coyotes are quite in that league yet.
I agree that the Coyotes are not making the playoffs. I do think, and it's so funny that we're talking about this because literally, on my memories from 1 year ago was a screenshot of the point total over under for last season, and it was 65.5.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy that now we're talking about 80 points and we're talking about point jumps. And Craig put the stats in his story of year-over-year improvement, and you want to talk about New Jersey again. The 22-23 New Jersey team had the second highest ever point improvement from year to year with 49, which is just astronomical. I'm not saying the Coyotes are doing that, but it's not out of the question for them to take a 10-point jump from 70 to 80.
No, it's not. Listen, it wouldn't be unprecedented if they jumped to 95. Because we saw what happened in Dave Tippett's first season.
I was just going to say the Gretzky to Tippett was 28 points.
Yeah, 28 points. And that's the franchise
the
record.
Tippett's year is that was a really, really. I mean, that's a playoff team.
I know, but and then when you look at that team, you're like, how?
Yeah,
but they did it. They set the franchise record for points.
Yeah,
the Coyote way.
Yeah,
the growth is there. They went from 54 to 57 to 70. It's going the right direction. I'd like to sit here and say it's going to be 90 points and they're teasing the playoffs. I got to be realistic, though. I think to make those kind of leaps, it's difficult for a franchise to do, especially when to go from last and get 57th to 70.
Yeah,
that's one thing. But to get in that middle core now to break into those playoff teams, I think if they can get to 80, I think that's a fantastic season. I think they're high 70s, 78, 79, and maybe I think 80 is their goal. Yeah. Now, this team, could they, with Andre Tournier and Connor Ingram gets on fire and they win in the mullet, could this team end up closer to 90 points? Yeah, they can. I think the parity in this league is definitely there. We talked about the Central being
with
a
Megan
mismatch
yesterday,
of we're not sure where that division's going. Two teams at the top, Minnesota in the middle, and then everybody else at the bottom. They could potentially do that. I think there will be points in this season. I've said it over and over and over again. By December 31st this year, this team will be above the double line in a playoff spot at some point in that stretch. I really believe that.
I agree.
I just think the second half of the year, when things get real and the cream starts to rise, and you talk about the trade deadline and those things, I think that's where they'll start to fall off a little bit because they're not going to be buyers. They shouldn't be buyers. So I still think that they're a team that misses the playoffs.
And just to emphasize something you said earlier, those increments get harder as you go. And people are like, well, they added a bunch of points this last year. Well, doing that again is much harder. It's much harder to climb to 80, much harder to climb to 90 from 80. It just gets
the
harder
other thing too, Craig, when you say, well, I want to make the playoffs. Well, you got to look at the 8 teams that made the playoffs in the Western Conference and go, who are they better than? Yeah. Who are they going to beat out of that 8 spots? They're not better than a lot of those teams there right now in Colorado and Dallas. And I just
I think it's okay that they're not there yet.
I do too. And they'll tell you that. Management and coaching staff will say that they honestly, when you talk to Bear, it's like, I don't even look at those points. It's just, are we doing the things better every day to get better?
On the flip side, in the Western Conference this year, there's those elite teams, but then there's a bunch of teams where you're like, not sure what you are yet. Yep. Minnesota, Winnipeg. Calgary. Calgary. It's another great. Seattle. Is Seattle really going to do that again?
Seattle for real again.
So
that middle court, you're right. It's not impossible.
No.
It's for us to be talking about this from 2 years ago preseason when we were saying this team's going to be last to maybe they make the playoffs. Oh my God, that's what a jump.
Yeah, it is
crazy.
In 700 days, we're talking about this team potentially being in the playoffs.
Wild. Absolutely wild. Again, let us know in the chat how many points you think the team's going to finish with. And we will now take a look at some projections from other sites out there, including our own. We took the average of our 3 projections, which for us is 80. But The Athletic has 79 points in Dom's model.
Yeah, Dom Lashushin.
But he did say that he actually thinks it'll be more like 82, 83.
Wow.
Which is really, really interesting and great. He does great work, by the way. USA Today has the Coyotes at 79 points. And then BetMGM has the line set at 76.5 points.
Interesting.
Which I find interesting. It's a little bit on the lower end, especially when you look at
I'd hit that right now.
Yeah. So
I like 76.5 as an over.
Even 79, 80, like that's kind of the conversation we're having right now. That's kind of what it seems like people are saying. And yeah, with BetMGM's line being set at 76.5, take the over. And it's crazy because 1 year ago we sat here at 65.5 saying take the under. Times change. So go bet the over right now. Bet the over on Coyotes season point totals right now over at BetMGM. While you're at it, you can put a future bet on Logan Cooley to win the Calder if you're feeling into it. I've kind of been banging that drum. I've seen a few bet slips of that. And if you're thinking, I don't know, all of these are risky, they're futures, why not use a bonus bet on some of these futures? Because if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet and you use the bonus code PHNX, if you placed your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application of at least $10, just, deposit 10, place the $10 bet. It doesn't matter if it wins or loses because you will receive $200 instantly in additional winnings. And then you can use those $200 in bonus bets on whatever you like. And because they're all broken up, it's not like a lump of 200. It's a bunch of broken up ones. Put one on the over for points, one on Cooley for Calder, and whatever else you want to bet on. There's a ton going on. It's like October is the prime time for sports. This is the best time to bet. So again, sign up for BetMGM, bonus code PHNX. You can check out the show notes for full details. And now you can listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
All right. Well, as we get ready for the Coyotes to play, Petey's already a little stressed.
Yes, he is.
Maybe, Craig's flying to the East Coast. Hard to get on time frames, although don't fly with this. OGs, maybe before you get on the flight. Take an OGs, relax. Check out OGs. They have something for everyone. Indica, sativa, happy balance, microdose, sleep edition. If you haven't tried OGs yet, delicious flavors, by the way. They got the fruits and the creams. Check it out. Check out our friends at OG's Brands and try it yourself.
Do you remember they make those?
scratch made here in Arizona, by the
Yep,
way.
there you go, local.
Love supporting a local company. So try one or a few of their many delicious flavors. You can check them out across all socials at OG's Brands online and at ogsbrands.com to find them at a local dispensary near you. You must be 21 or older to enjoy responsibly. Okay, we're going to keep chugging along and talk about, we kind of talked about our expectations, 80 points, 79, somewhere in that range. That would be, I think, a best case scenario for the season, maybe, or is the best case making the playoffs. But is that a best case scenario?
I mean, I think so. Playoffs would be the best case scenario for this team. I mean, I also wonder if the playoff cutoff would have to be a little lower for them to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe in the low 90s.
It could be in the West.
Well, last year in the East, it was 92 last year in the East. Florida got in at 92.
Yeah. So maybe
Depends
something
on
like
the
that
conference,
happens. I mean, it's an accomplishment to get in the playoffs. I don't like their chances against Colorado, Dallas, Vegas, or Edmonton in the first round, but it would be one hell of an accomplishment to get into the playoffs. I'm not sure people should expect like linear progression from that point forward, right? That's the danger sometimes when you get into it. We saw this with Calgary a few years ago where maybe you took that step too soon. Don't expect it to just keep going up. Yeah. But that would be one hell of a best case scenario.
I agreed. Best case of the playoffs. Is it likely? Again, I just want people to temper their expectations. I don't think that's a lot of points to come up from where they were a year ago. And even if Florida got in the last day of the year with 92, is it impossible? No. Again, we talked about Bear. Their goaltending may become elite. Keller has a rookie of the year. Yeah, maybe. I still don't think their defense is strong enough as we looked around the league yesterday. We looked around the Central Division. They don't have that solid six yet. They're young. So I think they're getting better. Best case is getting in the playoffs and then getting their ass kicked by the Avalanche Stars or Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah. But they get the experience of playing important games late in the season, which again, it's talking about progression and getting guys to play in games that matter. I think that's a part of what you're trying to do.
What's your best case?
Oh, playoffs.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, the best case would be playoffs and then somehow winning in the playoffs, but I don't foresee that happening.
Yeah, one of those four teams would be a tough
if we're gonna dream for a second,
Colorado did it. Seattle did it last year. Yeah. And how did they do it? They did it by playing hard as a group of 20.
And that's true because you don't look at the Seattle roster and say they don't have a Connor McDavid.
No, they were coached extremely well and they played to their system and they played really hard. That's how they beat Colorado. Yep. And they got overmatched against Dallas, and there's no reason. I mean, that's how Arizona's going to win. They're going to outwork you. They're not going to outskill you. You're not going to outscore you. They're going to outwork you. And so, work ethic is they can.
It's true because a lot of teams said that the Coyotes last season were very hard to play against, and that's kind of the reputation.
Bigger, stronger, tougher than they were a year ago.
I think they're going to be even harder to play against this year. So now let's talk about the worst case scenario.
No. Worst case scenario is that they don't actually improve on last season. They just sort of are out of the playoff chase by the time the trade deadline rolls around, and then they are faced with what I think would be a logical decision at that point. If you're way out of it, why would you hang on to assets like
Zucker and Dumba,
Jason Zucker and Matt Dumba, who are on expiring contracts and are probably gone anyway, right? And I know that they've said the stated goal is we don't want to be that again. We're not looking to acquire draft assets. But if you get to that point and it looks a lot like last year where you're clearly not making the playoffs, how do you hold on to those guys? It just doesn't make any sense.
Craig, though, is that really the worst case? Here's my point. Oh. If that happens and now you're drafting again in the top 6. Yeah. And you're trading away assets.
I thought you were going somewhere else with this.
No, but you're trading away you're trading away those RFAs and UFAs to get more assets that you're building for the future. Now you're drafting again in the top 10. So is it really?
No, it's not.
We're not ready to win anyway.
Imagine if you traded both those guys for first round picks because they actually did something
during the season. Now you're stocking the cupboards again for the future. You're drafting again in a high pick, top 10 pick again for this upcoming season. So this team, you go, the worst case may not be the worst case.
Yeah.
So the worst case is probably finishing 13th in their 12th and floundering and not knowing if you should trade or get up and you're picking at 16, and that I think is probably the worst case.
That's fair.
I don't want to talk about
the nightmare
I don't want to
case.
talk about anything off ice.
Okay.
We'll just stick with hockey.
We'll stick with on
Did
ice.
I talk about off ice?
No. That's where I thought you were going.
No.
When you said, is that really the worst case?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No.
Because I'm looking
we all
at
know what the worst case is.
I'm trying to use, my optimism that I have on most things. Okay, that was sarcasm. I don't have optimism, but I do think if it goes, hey, I've always talked about the consistency of Vejmelka. I'm not convinced he can put together a complete season in the net. If he does, they could go this way. If he doesn't, they could go that way. But his contract's, he's got 2 years left. He's a guy that potentially could be traded at the trade deadline. And if they're bad again, meaning their points are bad, it's not a bad thing organizationally. So that's why it's so nice to go into this season going, whatever happens, we're fine. If they get more points, great, because they're building towards something and they're developing. And if they're bad again, we get a good pick. And that's okay, because then we got next year. So I think this is a fan. You can go into this with really open eyes going, okay, whatever happens, and I'm on board.
And in the meantime, you still want to see like your core pieces.
Personal growth.
Yeah.
We said it last year. We need personal growth.
Yeah.
If JJ Moser has a better year, Keller has a better year, Hayton has a better year, and the team as a whole stays the same or even a step backwards, that's okay, as long as those pieces that are going to be there long term are having those little incremental steps of getting better.
Yep. You mentioned the newcomers, Zucker, Kerfoot, Dumba, Jersey. How do we think they're going to fit in? We did see them already in the preseason.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think we know the roles
Yeah.
by now, right?
Yeah.
Jason Zucker's here to shepherd Logan Cooley and to NHL. They're all here to be veteran leaders. We know that. That's why they're all brought here. They're all character guys. We've heard that from the teams they came from the media that covered them. It's not just, it's real. All these guys have character, and they were brought here for that reason. But Zucker's here to just keep a good eye on Logan Cooley and help him navigate this first season in the NHL. Alex Kerfoot, he's a versatile guy that can play up and down the lineup, give you two-way play. Matt Dumba is a defensive defenseman now at this point of his career, can give you big hits. Sean Durzi, they hope, helps on the power play. They really need that quarterback on the power play.
Yeah, it's funny. I watched the Pittsburgh Penguins play on opening night, and a player they miss is Zucker. Like, they need that. You've got Crosby and Malkin, but you talked about Bonino and Zucker in that middle core in Pittsburgh. I think they're going to really miss those kind of guys. He is exactly what this team needs. On the ice, off the ice, Zucker is fantastic for this team. I think Dumba, it was time for him to move on from Minnesota, and they both agreed from that. Dumba, to me, is one, might not be as popular. He's a risk-reward guy. There are days we're going to look at Matt Dumba and go, oh my gosh, he was the best player on the ice. And then the next night, you're going to go, oh my gosh, he threw two pizzas up the middle for turnovers that ended up in the back of the net. It's kind of player he is. He does make those risk-reward plays where there are going to be nights that you go, oh, that probably wasn't the best play. I think what he is going to bring too is the leadership element that this team has lacked from the back end. He wore an A in Minnesota. He's a vocal guy in the room, on the bench. This team needs that. They haven't had that guy that can be vocal with these young players. On the ice, I think whatever he provides is going to be better than what they've seen on the right side of the defensive lineup. But I do want people to temper their expectations from him, that there are times when he makes decisions, because he's an all-in guy. He's going all in. He's playing extremely hard. But that all-in exuberation, when you go all out, sometimes you make mistakes. He's not going to make lazy mistakes. He's going to make mistakes where, gosh, I wish he would have stayed home there and defended instead of going for it. He's going to do too much, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That he's going to cause mistakes from doing too much. And I think just temper that with he's helping the young core get better. Durzi, right now, to me, is a one-dimensional guy. He's going to have to learn how to defend. He has to. He's young. He's going to have to get better on that side of the puck. I saw it in preseason too. He's going to have to those reads better. On the power play, he's going to be exceptional, and he'll help this team there, but he's going to have to learn to defend better. Kerfoot, that's the guy I want on my team. I want a player like Kerfoot on my team because, like you said, Craig, up and down the lineup, he can defend, he can provide offense, he's fast, he can kill penalties. He is a jack of all trades, master maybe of none. I'm not sure. He got hidden in the Toronto lineup because they had so many top end players. Yeah. I think that we didn't see his high end. I think Kerfoot is going to have one of his better offensive seasons here. I really do. I think he's going to have the ability to do more than he's been able to do the last few years in Toronto, and he's going to be a guy that people really like because he works hard,
especially playing with Cooley and Zucker.
He's going to get points.
Yeah. That's fun. It's a fun line.
Yeah, I think those guys, different, Craig, what they've done the last 2 years, they've filled veteran roles with players that had bad contracts, expiring contracts. People are trying to get rid of money, and they came to Arizona. Now you've got veteran guys that are here for a reason, and I think that they were handpicked versus, we'll take your garbage contracts. We'll take them. Now it's, I want this guy. I want that guy. So I think that there is a little different role for these veterans than we've seen here in the past.
I agree. Well, on the subject of lines, let's get into it. Our final line predictions before game 1. We've been doing this since literally July.
Yes.
And we'll start with the forwards. And I think we kind of have it set. I mean, as we've gone along here.
Yeah, now that we know Dylan Guenther's fate, I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah, and it's ironic because Petey actually mentioned this, I think, on last week's show, that he said if Dylan Guenther goes down, here's how I see, and it was Kerfoot being on the line with Cooley and Zucker. So we'll start with the top line, which is obviously Schmaltz, Hayton, and Keller.
Yep.
So we'll pull up those guys for our top line. So Hayton in the middle, Schmaltz.
We can put them on either side. Keller's going to line up on the left more often, but they do play on their weak sides. Which as long as they're all up there together, I'm okay with putting them up there on the board. I'd put Keller on the left, but I can live with that.
Yep.
But that's their top line. One of the things they have familiarity with each other. They played well together at the end of the season. As long as they stay healthy, this is the top line for a while. And the biggest reason is they're going to protect Cooley and not put him in these kind of moments. Will Cooley play with Keller at points during the season? Without a doubt. Whether it's just a period or a line match they're looking for in a particular night or an injury, Cooley will play with Keller at some point. But this is the lineup I think you're going to see as the top line going forward.
And as you mentioned, now that we know Guenther's fate, we kind of know the fate of the second line, which is Logan Cooley in the center. You got Zucker and Kerfoot.
Zucker on the left, Kerfoot on the right.
Yep. So, PD, you really kind of predicted this last week, but we didn't have the faith that the Coyotes would actually follow through.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a while. I think we had Guenther way back when we put him down in the lineup. Of course, I wrote the story wondering what the best path for him might be. They said they would do what was best for the player, but we all wondered if they would in the end. And credit to this management group, they actually did it.
The couple things with this line. We've talked about what the high end of Cooley is, but the people that are around him, we talked about Kerfoot playing a 200-foot defensive game. Zucker could play a 200-foot defensive game. They really are going to protect Cooley on the defensive side of the ice, which is one thing I don't think Bedard really has. Bedard played with Donato and Hall is not known for his great defensive play. So I think it insulates Cooley even a little bit more. And beyond that, when we get to the third line, there are nights that the team's third line, in air quotes, is going to be better than this line.
Yeah.
Like there is so little difference between 2 and 3 and maybe 3 and 4 on this team, where you see some teams, their top 6 are way above. I think the Coyotes' bottom 9 are very similar. So I think that there are nights that this line may not be going. And then you're going to see what we put up as the next line. They're going to get those minutes too.
So we will go to our third line, which is the line that has stuck together.
The magic line.
The no one can see me, but I'm doing the Michelli hand. Michelli, Kraus, and Bukestad.
But Kraus on the left. Yep. I like this line because when they were together, they were
Bukestad in the middle and Michelli.
Michelli makes
right.
people. Michelli makes people better.
Do you think he's going to shoot more? He said it. He said it again.
He did on the power play.
He's been scoring in preseason.
Is that going to hurt Lawson Krause's goal scoring ability?
The answer is yes. I like this line because they can play with a little bit of weight. Bukestad and Kraus can both play with a little weight, play a little more physical in the corners than I think you're going to see on that second line with Zucker. Zucker is going to play bigger than he is, but he's not Kraus and Bukestad, where I think physically they can do more.
Lawson Krause this contract gets criticism nationally, and I think this is one of those cases where you need to be here. You need to watch this player. I don't get it, actually. I don't get the criticism of this contract.
His numbers are going to be there offensively. The problem, and this has been a knock on Lawson Krause for a long time, is at his size, they want him to put guys into Section J and put them through the glass and really be that tough physical. Could he be more of that? Maybe. I just don't think that's his game. You see McBain play like that. Krause just hasn't had that element. And I think there are scouts, management people that want to see someone of his size play with a little bit more physicality.
But I think he's an effective player still.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt he is. And I think that's where the knock is on that contract, though. But offensively, and the numbers he puts up, and he's playing on that second power play unit, he kills penalties, he does everything, and he's a leader off the ice. Without a doubt, I agree, Craig. I think he is one of the leaders of this team. If Keller's not the captain, Krause is.
Yeah.
So he's absolutely a leader. I just think that when you talk about a guy of his size, there are some that would like to see him be a little bit more physical.
Yeah, the analytics community isn't wild about it either, though. It's interesting. Again, we don't want to dive
I'll put him
into
on my team every day.
Yes, same.
Okay, well, we'll go to the last line, and this is actually the line that has caused us the most, I don't know, maybe confusion, not knowing. We kind of have some more clarity based on the paper move of waving.
Did Sanford?
He's
gone.
down.
Gone.
He's done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Travis Boyd cleared waivers with the team, practicing with the team, traveling with the team. But we're thinking about the matchup of the New Jersey Devils potentially. Jack McBain, without a question, is
Jack McBain in the middle.
Is the center of the fourth line. I think that is the one thing that has stood true this entire offseason as we've projected this line. But I think is it going to be Boyd, O'Brien, Carcone, and what do we think opening night?
I mean, for a skating skilled game like New Jersey, I got to believe that Michael Carcone is going to be
I think Michael Carcone's in the lineup. You watch how he finished that last preseason game in Tucson, the offensive plays that he made. He's got speed. He's got pace. He can get into the corners if he has to, but size-wise, I have no problem with him playing against the Devils. I like Carcone in the lineup for sure.
Jacob, can we switch Keller and Schmaltz so my eye stops twitching?
But having said that, McBain, and we talk about the juggling of the fourth line, McBain's the one I think has got to play every day when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Because he brings an element that there are very few players on this team can do. Because we talk about O'Brien and his physicality and his penalties, McBain can bring that physicality. McBain can fight. Like there are very few guys. There's three guys, Brown, O'Brien, and McBain that can fight. But McBain, his offensive upside, man, I tell you what, this kid can skate.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
No, he's going to be when this team is ready to win. Jack McBain is your third line center, and he is playing really important minutes.
That's interesting to me with Connor Geekie in the system. Yeah,
That's
a good problem
Connor
to have,
Geekie might. Well, one of them will have to play on the wing.
Maybe.
How about that?
Maybe.
Which is also not a
because
good problem to have.
McBain at his size at the middle of the ice, and this is going way back to Bemidji State, my dad's team, Joel Otto, where you had a guy like Joel Otto who was one of the best third line centers to ever play because he won faceoffs, could defend, but he could also get to the net hard. I think that reminds me of Jack McBain. And everybody's going.
We used to talk about this, like having two centers on every line. He said, I think that's where the NHL is going because look at the faceoffs from either
both
side.
Sides. Yep.
Yeah, and the duties for F1 as well. So I could see that happening. Boy, what a big line that would be too.
So that's going to brings up O'Brien and Boyd, and I think those two are going to be the odd men out on most nights.
Yeah,
there are going to be nights. We know injuries in this league happen, and they're going to get all three of those guys in the lineup: Carcone, O'Brien, and Boyd. I think opening night one, I think Boyd being sent down through waivers and clearing on paper, I think is a sign to this community that it's going to probably be O'Brien and McBain and Carcone on opening night, with O'Brien sitting on the bench.
Just the fall from first line center to
Boyd first line center to sitting out.
It's a bummer.
Yeah,
sad.
So that's our forward lines.
That's our forwards, and I would say it was pretty close to what we started in July. Minus a few things. Obviously, we had Gunther in there, but we did have Gunther on the fourth line.
So here's where we pat ourselves on the back. We did put that in July, and we put Gunther out, and we said best place for him is Tucson, and we need Kerfoot with Cooley. And I remember you went to the rink the next day, and Bear laughed at you, said you don't know nothing, and you're wrong, and we turned out we were right. So there you go.
Should I go
PHNX?
Should I laugh at him when I see
him?
No,
I would not do that.
Get on the plane and say,
Petey says,
Petey said,
Petey said I should laugh at you.
Petey said, ha ha ha.
I thought it was a bad idea.
Maybe they were just watching our show going, what we do with the line? And then we put this guy here, and that's what they did.
We give an
opportunity to play. So maybe they followed
Petey,
our
I know you're
lead.
really smart, but I really hope that that's not how they decided their
Maybe
lines.
they did, though. Maybe they're watching the PHNX Coyotes show going, well, we should do that. No, they're not.
They're not.
They didn't listen to me when I worked there.
That'd be
Absolutely not
immediate
doing
grounds for questions.
Yes.
Yeah,
But I think a lot of this is common sense because two of those four lines are just putting guys back together that played extremely well a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get into the defensive pairs next so we can clear the boards of forwards. We'll just focus on defense. And again, this one has been up and down this whole week with some apparent injuries. And then
I think we're going to go without in our mind. Let's put this together without injuries.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Oh yeah. Well, everybody's ready now.
Everybody's ready. So the top line is Moser and Dumba.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the top pair. So I don't think we're there's any mystery here anymore.
No, I think
No.
the one thing I like about this is they both skate extremely well. They both defend really well. They're going to play against the other team's best players. When you see Connor McDavid on the ice, you're going to see Moser and Dumba. When you see McKinnon jump over the boards, it's Moser and Dumba. Like when this team needs to protect the lead, it's these two. Like I think because we talked about the skill in the Central and the Pacific, well, hell, even when they go to Jersey, the skill and the speed, these guys are going to get those important minutes. So expect to see Moser and Dumba.
Yep.
All right.
Jacob's already moving along here.
Well,
No, but we're on the right. So
we're
that's
on-
called the preview mode.
Yeah,
I know, but he's
I'm a wizard
got
over here,
got it
Craig.
rolling here.
I know.
So second line, Valimaki and Sean Jersey. The average age of this defensive pair is very, very young.
I have a specific question for you on this pair. Can Juuso Valimaki protect Sean Jersey?
There's a question. Valimaki skates well enough. Jersey, for a guy that's so offensive, he doesn't have that real burst of speed from the back end where you go, oh, wow, that guy can really skate. He moves the puck extremely well. He gets the puck up the ice really well, and he makes really good decisions on the power play with the puck. I don't know if his speed is his strength, so I think Valimaki is going to have to be unbelievable at protecting him, and I'm not sure about this pair. And this all comes back to where the weak spots of this team are when I talk about playoffs. So Valimaki and Jersey are going to eat a lot of minutes. Man, that's not a twosome that doesn't give me warm fuzzies in the defensive end.
You know who's supposed to be here had things not gone south in this top four, Jacob Chikrin.
Yeah, so you put Chikrin with Jersey.
Yeah.
Now you got a guy that can get up and down the ice, can be physical, and can skate well enough
We don't need to
to
talk
protect
about
him. But
Just
Well,
thinking
his
about
deep breath said
Yeah.
everything he needed to
We
say.
don't, we don't need to talk
so
about
I
it.
think, again, they're going to grow together. And this pair in their early 20s now, when they're in their late 20s, if they're still both Coyotes, then you go, okay.
Yeah.
Now we talked about St. Louis's defense being so old. These are a pair that if they stay together and grow together, I could think could be a really good second pair. But on a winning team, people are going to hate to hear this. On a winning team, this is probably your third pair with Jersey playing on the power play.
We have a lot to learn about those two players right
Yes.
there. I don't think there is nearly the book that we need on either one of those players.
They're not getting a lot of D-zone starts. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Third pair, this is we're also running it back to last season. Stetcher left at the deadline, came back, but they are reunited. It's Stetcher and Brown. And I think we've talked about them a ton in the sense that when you really just need like pure defense.
Veteran presence, yeah.
It's veteran. Brown,
And Brown brings toughness.
Brown's
Yes.
going to drop the gloves. He's going to fight. He's going to protect the net front. I really like that. Stetcher's going to have to. Stetcher's, you never worry about his work ethic. That's there. I just worry sometimes about sometimes his work ethic and his grit is a little bigger than his body is.
Yeah.
And that's the concern. Is he durable enough to play the way he plays for 82 games? Because kid plays hard and he goes to places he probably shouldn't. So again, I think Dermott's going to get a lot of time. I think Dermott's going to get some time on the ice. I think Dermott's going to be that seventh guy that's going to get into the lineup and rotate.
And it's okay that he sits versus someone like Soderstrom, who they did end up sending down.
Yeah.
Like you don't want Soderstrom sitting, but Dermott, he can sit, and that's okay.
And on back-to-back nights,
Key point there.
guys are
Because
gonna-
people were talking a lot about Victor Soderstrom.
Yeah.
And that's it right there.
he's going to play. He's going to play important minutes there. But you look at Brown. Brown's not going to be able to play 3 and 4. Like I'm telling you, he's going to get nights off.
Yeah.
Because of the way he plays.
One other thing to point out with these three pairs that we've just put up, it's a lefty-righty split, which coaches love, obviously. For what reasons, Petey?
Well, if Dermott's in the lineup, because Stetcher's a righty.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. But the
for
top
the
two
most
pairs,
part, yeah.
the top two pairs, the most they've had in a long time here. I think the ability to move pucks up the ice and create offense in the offensive zone with the right-left matchup,
Yes,
break
at the
out of the
blue line.
zone.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. I think Stetcher, that's why you'll see those bottom three rotate. I really do. I think you're going to see those guys in and out of the lineup. All three of those guys. Some nights Dermott will be in.
And they've been pretty happy with Travis Dermott's camp, too. Andre said it the other day. They've been pretty happy with him.
And they're going to ease him in, though.
Yeah, because of
his injuries he's had over the years. So I think that's your
injury
lineup for game one in the last area, Leah.
The last area is the goaltending, and anyone who's been watching the show for 2 years knows that we are the experts.
We suck
in predicting goaltending starters.
Yeah, so whatever we predict, go with the opposite.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we have 2 goalies, and I think this is the first time in a long time, like the are kind of set in the goaltending department in the sense that you're
But who's
not
starting?
Well, it's funny. They're set in the sense that they have a really good tandem. Is this a 1-2 situation? Is this a 1A, 1B situation?
I don't know yet, but after the way Connor Ingram played once he got his feet under him here last season, and then the way he played in preseason, he's pushing Karel Vejmelka. I'm not even confident saying who's starting game 1 in New Jersey right now.
I think this is a good problem to have.
I've said it for 2 seasons with Karel Vejmelka. He still scares me. I think he's a busy goalie. I think he's all around the crease. I think he slides around too much, and that continued through this training camp. Somehow he gets, he lost his shutout late in that game against Anaheim to end the preseason.
Yeah, the Anaheim Ducks team that didn't show up for that game. You mean
Ingram to me just looks more calm, steady, and secure when he's in the net. He's got a 3-year deal now, so he's not going anywhere. So here's what I'm going to say, and then that's why you pick the other guy. Game 1. Connor Ingram. If I'm in that, and I've been in the room when the coaches, this is how it works. The head coach goes, "Hey, what do you guys think?" And he'll go around the room, and then he'll go with the goalie coach and himself. And my vote didn't count, so why'd you even ask me? But if I have a vote here, I want to see Connor Ingram play game 1 against the New Jersey Devils.
I think you can make a strong argument for it.
I don't think he will.
Yeah.
I think Vejmelka was their starting goalie, and they're going to give him the reins. I think Veggie starts. If I'm in the room, I'm giving Connor Ingram the start.
But I'm interested to see how this will play out, because are they going to kind of do a rotation? Is it going to be like, also just the way goaltenders are being played now is completely different than how it used to be. You know, it used to be you have your starter who plays 50 games and your backup who plays 30. Now it's not like that. And I think Ingram and Veggie, it's like, for me, it's feeling 1A, 1B. I just don't know who the 1A is.
Right. And you're right. Load management matters now, and there's much better science on this. A lot of it depends on the workload that they face on those nights as well. It's not just shots on goal. It's how many times they got to go down and up. They measure all these things now, and you really want to manage that better. You're not going to see a guy play 55 games anymore, 60 games, like some of the crazy totals that we used to see. But Connor Ingram is pushing Karel Vejmelka. There's no doubt. I agree with you. I still think Vejmelka is the incumbent, so he's probably going to get the start in New Jersey, but I am curious to see how this plays out over the course of the season, because Connor Ingram came in last year. That was his first real opportunity to establish himself as an NHL goaltender. He had a few rough starts to start, and then, wow, as Corey Schwab said, he gave us a chance to win pretty much every night he was in net.
Here's my concern. And we've seen it with this team probably over the last 5 seasons, is they take the starting goalie and they ride him to death. And you saw it with Darcy Kemper playing 8, 10, 12 games in a row, getting hurt, done. Antti Ranta, 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row. Now he's hurt and you're down to your 3rd string goalie. We saw it with Vejmelka, and my God, they played Vejmelka 8, 10, 12 in a row. And the more he played, remember we did that study, Craig? Yeah. The more he played, the worse he got, because you never got that other guy in there. I think this is going to be an interesting situation with these two, because I do think that this team feels confident with either guy in the net. I hope that they do a better job this season of managing these two. And I think they probably can, because Ingram has taken a step forward. They cannot, in my opinion, run a guy 5, 6, 7 in a row, because I think that increases your chance of injury, and then you're in trouble. Plus, the guy that's sitting on the bench for 5 or 6 hasn't played.
Yeah, and beyond that, and I'm not saying Ivan Prosvetov was like NHL ready, but who's your guy that you're going to in the minors now? Is it Matt Vialta? It is right now. He's the guy that you're turning to if either one of these guys gets hurt. So
it's a good thing that they've got this 1-2. It's just now a matter of how do they manage them, because Vejmelka has also shown that if he sits out a period of time, he needs a few games to get going again. Yeah. So you can't have Ingram going 5 in a row. You can't have Vejmelka going 5 in a row. But you can't just, as a goalie, and I granted never played at this level, and this is as a little kid, you don't want to go, okay, it's every other game. I don't like that either. If this guy's hot, you got to keep playing him. Like if a guy's on fire, he's got to play.
Yeah, I get that. But how would you, like, if you had to manage this, how would you manage the workload between these two guys? Because I'm going to record it. I'm going to take it to Corey Schwab and Andre, so that Corey can add it to his book that, starts with chapter 1 on the reverse VH.
I also think of this I think you break things up into segments, and I think they got a 4-game segment on this road trip. And I think before you get on the plane going to New Jersey, here's who's playing. And I think we got the back-to-back game as your second set of games. Veggie, you're going the first night. Connor's going to start here. Veggie's going to be here. Now, I know it turns out this particular series, it turns out to be every other game just because of that.
There's a back-to-back.
Right, because of the back-to-back. But I
Islanders,
think, so if I'm Ingram and I'm getting on the plane and I go, okay, I know I'm starting against the New York Rangers. Game 2. I know I've got that. Or even if you go Veggie the first 2 and I go Ingram, okay, I've got the game in the Island. I know that's my game. I can start mentally preparing for that. I know I'm going to play versus, well, we're going to go with Veggie game 1 and then just see what happens.
Yeah.
I think you need, with both of these guys, I think you have a defined role for that 4-game set. And then I think you plan things out accordingly. Having said that, if Vejmelka gets 2 shutouts, he's playing the 3rd game. I don't give a shit what you had as your starting sheet. He's playing.
Even in a back-to-back, you would put him out there?
Yes. And I think goalies would expect it.
Okay. Yeah, and it's fair. They do expect it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you got a role like that, you keep going. But I think it's going to be important to keep both of these guys in it mentally. I think that they need to have a plan. And I think it's going to be a 2-1, 2-1. And then this guy will play 2-1. I don't think it's every other, but they are going to get their touches. 82-game season. Right now, if I had to say something, I would say Vejmelka is probably high 40s and Ingram's, high 30s, if I had to say today. Well, but I think you're right. I think Veggie starts game 1.
I think so too.
Incumbent. Although, when I'm sitting here in the more furniture chairs watching the game on Friday night, I would have started Ingram.
Okay.
Because I think that game is going to be so chaotic and so fast. And the way I saw Veggie sliding around, I think Connor Ingram just makes me feel a little bit more warm and fuzzy than
oh boy.
Vejmelka.
All right. Well, we've been talking a ton about hockey, and we have our live studio audience, Flex, who is part of the PHNX Suns show. And the Suns season is still a couple weeks away for the Suns regular season, but the preseason is already underway. And you can find all of your Phoenix Suns games, or most of them, on Arizona's Family Sports, which is the new home of the Phoenix Suns on TV. 70+ games right from your living room. You can watch with an antenna or over the air. We use channel 3, 3.5, or channel 44 here in the Phoenix area. And if you have Cox cable, turn to channel 13. It's really great what Arizona's Family Sports is doing. And wherever you live in Arizona, you can visit azfamily.com and click Suns Games for listing information for your area. Great resource to help you find your Phoenix Suns games on Arizona Family Sports. Craig, you packing your Shady Rays for the 4-game trip?
I'm hopeful that they'll have sun on the East Coast.
Flex, you're going out east and you're hoping to see the sun.
See the
in October.
Well, it's ironic because Flex is sitting inside with his sunglasses on his head. So, you know, we're always rocking the Shady Rays.
I might guess New Jersey in October at night. No, you'll be good.
That's okay. But even if he brought them and they were in his backpack,
you still look cool.
You would look cool.
Could do that.
And
I don't know if
at the Rock.
Cool. I don't know if I look,
buddy.
Cool,
you would. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, like, Shady Rays, underrated part, how durable they are.
Crazy durable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yes. I've told you the story about my baby breaking my unbreakable glasses. I wish I had Shady Rays at the time.
Yeah, sincerely.
I still have those glasses.
Yeah.
I just throw them in my car and they're there when I need them.
Mine are like in my backpack getting smushed and they're fine. No scratches. Like I'm just saying. So check out Shady Rays. They're durable. They have great styles, great colors, and exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. All right. Last thing, we've talked a ton about what we're going to watch this season, and now we're going to talk about how to watch
This is all you, Leah.
Is it? Because you're the one who has slightly more answers.
There are no answers.
There are some answers.
There are answers.
So
we know it's available on Cox, right?
Are they better answers? I don't know, but they're answers.
Did you play around with the antenna, Leah?
I did. I've kind of hit a wall with it.
Uh-oh.
So, okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let's just rewind. Let's rewind.
How do you watch the Coyotes game this season?
We found
That's
out.
Where we're at.
We found
if
out.
You don't have Cox cable.
We find out Coyotes.
I do not.
Coyotes and Scripps. That's where we're going to watch
Give
the
me a
Coyotes.
Scripps.
We just talked about the
Channel
Phoenix Suns being on
15.2,
Arizona's
ABC
Family.
15.2.
15.2. So, first FAQ. Can I watch the Arizona Coyotes on Channel 15? No. That is your first thing that we need to get out there. It's 15.2. If you put in an antenna
Flex is trying to figure this out.
And scan for your channels.
Right with you. Okay?
15.2 will come up. So this is where I got with my antenna. I plugged it in. Super easy. I just plugged it into the coax on my TV. Scanned for the channels. It found it.
You saw it. 15.2. It showed up. Boom. There it was.
It showed up.
Which is what happens when you program any TV that you buy. Like if you go to Best Buy, buy a TV program, 15.2 will show up.
Yeah.
But
I don't have signal at the moment, and I'm still working on it. I don't live near a mountain. I don't live in a with buildings around me, so I'm trying to figure it out.
I will be going home.
Yeah.
And I will be making a recording, plugging in an antenna today. I'm going to do it today.
I swear to God, plugging in the antenna was the easiest thing I've ever done.
There's nothing to do. Yeah, that part's easy.
And the antenna is like this. It was like this thin.
How much did it cost you?
$11
See,
on
that's what I'm
Amazon.
saying. They're really cheap, right?
Yeah.
So if you can get the signal, you're set.
Okay.
You're set.
I might have spent a little more. I'll have to go check.
Well,
I got the one that sticks to the window in this square thing.
And also, so Espo bought one that was $130, but it has DVR on it.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Like record, rewind.
Is he watching? Was he able to get channel 15.2? Did you ask him?
I don't know.
Leah, what about if you have Cox cable?
So if you have Cox,
paging Espo.
So if you have Cox, you can tune to channel 95,
and it's there.
So great.
Cox 95, all your 81 games. Because one game is going to be on ESPN.
Guess what game it is? Coyotes versus San Jose Sharks.
Is the national game?
Yeah.
Okay, that game
huge
sucks.
game. Huge game.
So you can skip that one
December.
anyway. So skip that one anyway.
Yeah.
So you got 81 games on what channel?
95 on Cox, 15.2 over the air.
And so that is it. And we reached out to the team. We were told by the team today you can watch it with an antenna on 15.2 or on Cox cable. That's it from the team officially
right now.
Today.
Don't know about streaming options yet. As Javier said,
yes.
Javier Gutierrez, the team's CEO and president, said in the Q&A that I conducted with him, they're working on that other piece. They're going to roll out something. They don't have a timeline on that yet. As far as it being available on
DirecTV, DirecTV Stream,
Dish,
YouTube TV,
all that.
Hulu TV, all those things are TBD. But
conversations that are apparently happening with Scripps, we need to reach out to
that's
Scripps,
up to
obviously.
Scripps. That's not up to the team.
It's not the Coyotes'
that's
fault.
Scripps. Scripps has to get those agreements. And I will say this optimistically because that's the side I'm always half full.
Yeah, we know that.
The Diamondbacks lost their channel with Bally's. They went to an MLB channel. DirecTV had a channel called the Diamondback Channel the next day. I'm optimistic that somehow Scripps has got this figured out with DirecTV right away.
Because I also know we've seen a ton of messages from people who live in northern Arizona who are really concerned. Because I should also mention that you can watch over the air in Tucson as well with an antenna.
Yeah.
Which is great that they did that.
But Flagstaff,
the northern Arizona people are concerned. There's people who live like directly next to mountains who are concerned. There's still some concerns here to put a
here's my question:
get street race for interference.
It's 2023.
I don't live there anymore.
It's 2023. It shouldn't matter. I'm living next to a goddamn mountain. It just shouldn't. Like it's 2023. We need to figure this out. Yeah. And I know we won't figure it out game one. I get it. I understand. But by game 10, we better have a pretty smooth thing. I mean, I guess I can go to the Four Peaks 8th Street Pub. I guess I can go there. They'll have it.
They'll have it.
But there'll have to be a solution that we can all manage. And I'm going to be, trust me, I'm going to do my antenna today. I have already been pushing the organization. We're going to reach out to other people to try to find out if and when this will ever be available somewhere else.
And if you figure it out, you're coming to my house next.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to figure
I'm
out.
optimistic on the
Pack
antenna
water,
route.
buddy. It's a long drive, as you remember.
Yeah.
So we're not any help to you. We'll be watching it this tomorrow. We'll be watching it on the More Furniture chairs, watching it on Cox Cable.
Espo, you figured out.
You want to
your
ask
antenna,
about your
right?
$130 antenna?
Oh, you want to ask me? This is very.
I don't see your head, Espo.
Here, I'll bend down. Hi, everybody. Oh, now that's even worse. I'm just gonna. Hi, everyone.
Have you tried to get channel 15.2 yet?
Oh, I've watched channel 15.2.
Espo has it.
Look, I have an antenna in the house, and I bought a little box called a Tableau. This is free advertising. Max is gonna kill me, but it's a little box called a Tableau box that then allows you to stream to all of your televisions and your devices within your house. You can DVR, which was a big thing for me with Suns games because I want to be able to go back and rewatch. So you can DVR on it. Makes everything real easy, and I didn't have any issues.
So you hooked it up to one TV and you can stream it to all your others?
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, you can stream it to your phone.
Cancel your trip to my house. Espo, can you visit my house?
Sure.
You guys.
Did you drop that in the Discord already?
The Discord's actually who found it.
Yeah.
Okay. They found it.
I thought I saw it in the Discord.
I just invested. Don't tell the missus how much it was, but yeah, I just invested in it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, luckily my wife doesn't like hockey, so we're good.
Yeah, but that is good. That is good to know that there is
Thanks,
another
Espo.
option for people and it can go to other TVs. That was my fear.
15.2.
I don't want to buy 5 antennas. Like
Right.
that, I don't want to do that.
And I wonder if I have to spend $130 to do it. But
Buddy, you have that much in your sock right now. Bougie.
Okay. Anyway,
don't even know how to
my last
respond.
comment on this is that we do need to figure out a streaming situation. It's 2023. I stream everything. I have YouTube
Yes.
TV. I stream Netflix. I stream
If
Disney
you want new
Plus, I
fans,
stream
you need to do that.
Max.
Yep.
Like it's streaming or bust,
Yes.
and that's just.
until
People-
it changes in
And
5
people,
years.
here's the other thing,
But
Craig.
for right now, you have to figure
But
it
I'll
out.
say this: if you want to get that new generation of hockey fan, you need to find a streaming solution, and people are willing. If you don't want to pay for it, put an antenna up. If you want to pay, I don't know if it's $1.99, $5.99, $10.99, I don't know what the number is, but if you're willing to pay for it, so I can stream it everywhere in my house, and I can get it on my phone when I'm away, and I can get it on my iPad or my people are going to do it. I'm telling you, they will. So I think let's get on it. Let's keep pushing.
Well, for at least half of the games, the Coyotes will be playing here in the
At the
Valley, and you can go watch those games in person, and you can watch them for
Flex can't wait, by
cheap.
the way.
Thanks to
to
our
go to a
friends
mullet.
over at Game Time. I know Flex is going to be on Game Time the second the home opener is
Yes, he
going
is.
on, because the best thing about Game Time is if you wait till the last minute, the tickets are actually cheaper, which is really awesome.
It's a true story.
We've all used Game
Blink
Time.
182. Save myself some money.
Easiest experience.
Right
like,
out in front, waiting.
also, and it's funny because on the D-Back show, they joke about, like, Jesse Friedman, of course, jokes about how, like, lovely the interface on the app is. Great interface. Let me just say it. You can see exactly where your seats would be, what your view would
Yep.
be, which is really cool as well. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And as we talk about the home opener, which is Saturday, October 21st, it's going to be a jam-packed day. So let's rewind. You get your tickets on Game Time and you go to
Yes.
the game. That's at 1 p.m. Rewind 2 hours. 11 a.m. We
Where?
have our pregame meetup at Illegal Pizza on
Pete's.
Mill. Okay,
Rolled
rewind
chicken
2 hours.
taquitos.
Rewind 2 hours. 9 a.m. We'll be at Salt River Fields at Talking Stick for the Out of the Darkness walk with our fellow diehards and our fellow PHNX
Yep.
staff. That's 9 a.m., but you can go there starting at 8 a.m. for registration. 9 a.m., the event begins on Saturday, October 21st. We are joining thousands of teams across the country for the Out of the Darkness Community Walk, which is an event co-chaired by our very own PHNX diehards that raise money for suicide prevention programs, unite those that have been affected by suicide, and helps create communities that are smart about mental health. So we really invite you to join us. If you can't be there physically, you can support virtually. Either way, by joining Team PHNX, and you can hit the link in our description right now and help us hit our fundraising goal if you're able. Our diehard Kelly, who I
By
know
the way,
many of
that-
you know, is the co-chair.
If you go to the link and hit the link, it's super easy to do. You just need a few details and just, you don't, again, Leah said you don't have to go, but you can.
Yeah,
you
if
can
you're in
donate.
another state, join
still join Team PHNX, and you know, if it's $5, $10 or
Yeah.
whatever you can do to help, it goes to an extremely good cause.
By the way, Kelly's also going to the opener in New Jersey.
Yeah, and
so
oh, is she?
Oh, in
Yeah.
New Jersey? That's
Yep.
funny.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's awesome.
I think
just
that she
texted her
described it
through-
her perfect husband.
Yes.
That's how she described it at
Yes.
Illegal Pete's, right, Kelly?
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
that's what
for
I
sure.
heard. So.
Huh?
Yeah.
Who's her? What?
Yeah, just,
I
it's
know. I
fine.
missed it, and I'm probably
you know.
glad I did.
But I know a lot of the diehards are planning to be there, so we look forward to seeing you all there. We look forward to seeing you at opening night virtually. For Petey and I are going to do a watch along. So if you can't figure out how to watch the Coyotes by opening night, you can watch me and Petey watch the
Oh,
Coyotes.
yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah. So that'll be at 4 p.m. on Friday. We'll have our post-game show on Friday after the game as well. I can't wait for the vibes in the chat. Post-game shows are electric.
We'll see where I'm calling in from.
We'll see.
Flex probably knows the entire layout.
Yeah.
Since Flex apparently
Yeah.
literally built the rock by hand. That's when we found that out earlier.
Yeah, crazy. But what a time to become a diehard. Seriously, hockey season we're on the eve of Coyote season, which is great. You can join our Discord, get 20% off merch, 20% off events as well, and you get a free shirt or hat when you sign up. We have a cool new shirt, hopefully dropping very, 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 very soon.
It's very cool.
Yep, it's very cool. So we're really looking forward to
I think
that.
we've used that
Looking
enough.
forward to
Yeah,
a great
yeah.
season. Anything else before we wrap
No,
up?
I can't wait. Let's get to hockey. I'm going to try to come up with some keys to the game like I normally did before, but we're trying something different tomorrow on Friday. We might do some video scout keys. We'll see.
I'm so excited for your guys' watch
I'm
along.
so excited for our watch along.
I think there is some sarcasm in Jacob's
No,
voice.
Jacob's thrilled. Jacob's thrilled.
We won't ask for an interpretation. It's okay.
Well, be sure to subscribe to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel so you don't miss when we go live on our postgame show.
Yes.
So you don't miss our watch
Watch
along.
along.
So you don't miss all of our extra content on YouTube. And hit the notification bell, because then you get notified when we're live, which is great. And if you prefer to listen to the next day, which I know a lot of people do on the East Coast if it's too late, luckily it's a 4 p.m. Arizona time start. So it shouldn't be too late for that first game, but I know those 8 o'clock Pacific time starts are tough. You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe, leave us a review there. It's really helpful. And then you can follow us on Twitter at @SPetersHockey, at Leah Merrill, at Craig S. Morgan, at Jacob_Franklin4. And you can follow the show at PHNX_Coyotes. We made it, everyone.
Let's go.
We're here.
The season.
LFG. The Coyote season
Drop
is
the puck.
here. I can't wait. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, everybody. And we will see you all for the watch along tomorrow. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.